here we've got a couch that's been damaged probably by transit. So as you can see, we've got a bit of a scuff here. The flesh of the leather is exposed here, so what we're going to do is show you how to repair that. Now, good practice is always to clean your leather lounge thread first with the Palo leather cleaner. Once that's been done, then our next step is to use the leather prep just to clean the localised area. So we'll do that now. There we go. Now we just let that dry, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use Pete's hairdryer. Okay, that's dry now. So the next step we're going to do is use the glue. That leather actually feels quite fluffy when you rub your finger over it. I'd use the glue in that case because what the glue is going to do is going to soak into the flesh of the leather and crystallise it, and then we can very lightly sand the sharp pieces off the top. So, right, so here we go. I'm going to put a bit of leather glue on my finger. As you probably realised, I'm a bit of, I like finger painting.
Very tactile.
Yeah. I like getting close to it. So just very lightly putting that on there. And just any excess around the edges I just wipe away. And we just let that dry.
Or you can actually force dry it using your
hairdryer.
Your very own hairdryer.
Pete's hairdryer. You can tell it's dry because it's gone transparent. So
okay, I'll just get a close up on that before you're putting over it, Paul.
Just grab some sandpaper. Right there.
Yep. So now you're going to lightly sand it.
Yep. Okay. So now when I rub my finger over it, it just feels a little bit, a wee bit spiky or a bit rough. So what I'm going to do with the sandpaper is just very lightly take those sharp edges off.
And that sandpaper is actually supplied in the kit. It's a very, very fine, wet and dry sandpaper.
Yep.
And it just requires just very light rubbing. You're not actually using anything vigorous about it, just a light rub.
There we go. So that's all. That's okay now. If you've got a like pitting or it still feels rough, you can actually use the leather filler. We won't need to in this case because that feels good now. But the leather filler will actually bring it up to the right level, and then you can do the next step, which I'm going to do now, which is the scratch repair, which has been colour matched to this particular leather. The beauty of this is, doesn't matter what leather or colour your leather is, we can match it to blend in. So here's how it works. We just put again, put a bit on my finger, just going to lightly dab it on there. And the idea is just to build it up with very, very light coats because this is our colour, and it's better to have 2 or 3 light layers than it is to have one solid one. Otherwise you end up with you end up taking 10 times long to dry. So dry again. And if you haven't got a hairdryer, this will probably take about half an hour to dry. Yep. Okay. So now what I'm doing now is just building it up to get it how I want it to look. And it's looking pretty good from this angle. So I'm just going to put a bit more on there. And I'm just feathering it out very lightly around the edges. Very, very simple product to use. And again, just need to dry that out.
Excellent. I'll do a close-up so we've shown the continuity of view.
How's that look from?
That's looking excellent, mate.
Is that okay? So being right on the right on the bottom and on the edge, it's very, very easy to make those unsightly scuffs and nicks pretty much disappear. So the owner of this one, they won't even know that there's been a mark there. So
Very good.
Okay, so once we've cleaned the leather lounge suite, the next step is to use the leather preparation, which comes in the DIY leather repair kit. So what we want to do is just use the cloth that's provided in the kit, got a bit of leather prep on it, and we just want to make sure this area is nice and clean, because the last thing you want is for your repair work to fall off. So there we go, got a nice clean there. And now we're just going to let that dry. In fact, what we can do to speed it up, we've got a hair dryer which I have here. We can just give it a bit of hot air.
So that leather preparation is effectively preparing the surface so that if there was any contaminants on there that are likely to compromise the adhesion, it takes that off, and it also effectively acts as an etching on the surface, so that the adhesion of the product you're about to put on after this works really well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Excellent.
You'll find too that when you use the leather prep, the leather can go a little sticky, which means that the finish has been etched. So that's why it's a good idea just to dry it out first before you carry on. So now that's been done, put that aside. Now, the next thing we do is well, you probably can't see from here, but this is actually quite a fluffy repair. Well, the damage is quite fluffy, so the first thing we need to do is to use the leather glue, and we're going to use the leather glue to crystallise that fluffiness, so that once it's crystallised, we can give it a light sand, and it'll actually make it nice and smooth, or a good base for us to build from there. So the next thing we do is we use the leather glue, and what I do, I mean, you can do whatever way you find easy for yourself. I just put a bit on my finger, and I'm just putting it into the actual repair itself, or the hole itself. Wipe away the excess, and it's as simple as that. And now, to speed it up again, I'll use my hairdryer.
It's good to see that you brought your own hairdryer again, Paul.
This is yours, isn't it?
And the good thing about that glue is it's water-based, so that if you get any excess on there that you don't need, it can be wiped away even when it's dried.
Yeah. If you haven't got a hairdryer, you probably need to leave it for about half an hour to an hour, depending on the weather. So, okay, so that's pretty much dry now. I just need to cut that here, because I'll need to grab some sandpaper.
Good on you.
Anytime. Okay, now the glue's dried. Now I'm going to just very lightly just sand around there. It's crystallised so that I can feel roughness under my finger. So I'm just giving it a very light, just a light sand over the top there, just to take off those sharp edges. And that's feeling pretty good now. And that's all I do with that. So once that's been done, the next step is we're going to use the leather filler, and the idea of this is it's a flexible filling compound that we use for doing lots of repair work. And the beauty of it, it helps to bring up because when I rub my finger over there, it's got quite an indentation, so it's going to help bring it up to the same level again. So this is very easy. All these products are water soluble, so if you get it on your fingers, you can wash it off with water, it's not a problem.
Brilliant.
So we're going to squeeze a bit of that out onto there. Okay, all I'm doing there is just putting it into the hole like that. I quite often lick my finger and feather the edge out.
I suppose licking your finger gives it a good indication that it's non-toxic.
Yeah, and it tastes good.
But we won't go.
But we won't go there.
We won't go there.
No.
The good thing about that product again is that when it dries, it can be sanded, and it has a certain amount of flexibility and very good adhesion.
So we're going to heat.
And the other thing is the reason why you're using a hairdryer is not because you usually carry one with you, but it's a lot easier to adjust the heat. And a lot of times with leather, you don't want to have very, very direct hot heat. And the good thing about a hairdryer is you can gauge the heat quite easily.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I just put my hand very close to where the repair is, and if the leather starts feeling quite warm, then you can just back it off. You don't want it to get hot. Getting warm is fine, but hot's not good. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good. I've got a very thin layer of filler on there, so it's going to dry out a lot quicker. If you're using a thicker layer, then you need to leave it to dry naturally, so it dries down into the deeper parts. So again, that's feeling pretty good. So I'll give that a very light sand again. Yeah, it's still got a bit of a hollow on this one. So what I'm going to do is put a bit more filler onto that. Yeah, I like to look at it. So what I'm doing is feathering it out, because the last thing you want is to have a ridge where the filler stops and the leather starts, otherwise it's very, very hard to get rid of it. Okay, so that's actually feeling quite good.
In fact, if you've got a deeper hole, it pays sometimes to actually just apply it in lighter coats and dry it between each one, and then as opposed to putting a big thick dollop on and trying to get that to dry through.
Yep, definitely.
Especially if you want to expedite it a bit quicker.
And that goes with anything to do with you know, leather work or leather finishing. It's always better to have 2 or 3 light layers than one heavy one, otherwise it just takes such a long time for the bottom layers to cure. But that's actually feeling quite good now.
I'll just get a close shot before you go to that Paul, so we can get a good impression of exactly what you've done. Once we get a bit of focus. Excellent.
Okay, so this is feeling quite good now. The next step is to, we're going to use the scratch repair, which has been colour matched to this particular leather.
So that colour match there, effectively what we're talking about is all the top coats, polyurethanes, resins, binders, and it's colour match, pigmentally coloured match to the leather.
Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter what colour your leather is, we can actually match it to your leather for you.
Yep.
So the beauty of this too is this resin has got all the good stuff in it. It's exactly what I use for doing this type of work professionally. And as I say, the good thing is that it will pass all the leather finishing standards, and Lazarus is the testing authority that's done that. So
yep. In short, if it goes on, it stays on.
Goes on, stays on.
Brilliant.
And you don't have to worry about it coming off in your clothes or other things.
Excellent.
Okay, so what we do now, as you can see, I'm right up to my finger painting. Is I just put a bit on my finger, and as I said before, it's a matter of just very lightly just dabbing it on there. And again, I'm going to use that hairdryer, or Pete's hairdryer, to speed dry it up. So, there we go.
Paul's a very tactile person, so he uses his fingers, so he knows that he's getting the coverage and what have you, but regardless, you're just working it in just light layers of colour so that you can build it up as you go, and there's absolutely no compromise at all if you heat it off between each coat, and within minutes basically reapply another coat.
Yeah, we've built it up to a certain level now. The only thing that really gives it away is the fact that this is actually quite a grainy leather, whereas the repair is quite smooth. There's only so far we can take that, but bearing in mind, I mean, we never promise an invisible repair, because you're never going to get it exactly like perfect, you know, like as if it was under a microscope. The whole idea is the illusion that it's correct. So one of the wee tricks that I use is just put a bit more compound on your finger, just put a very light layer over the top of your repair, like that. And then inside your repair kit there's a cloth that's got holes in it. So all I do is I just lightly lay that over the top, peel that back. I don't know if you can see that, but now I've got lots of little stippled areas in there now. Can you see that, Pete?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so we'll dry that off. And you can do this 2 or 3 times, you know, just to get the desired effect again. How's it look?
It's looking better.
Can you still see the smooth?
Yep, just slightly smooth.
Okay, well, give it another go. So we just dab that on there. Put a bit more on, you see. A bit more. Like that. And just lay that over the top.
The thing that this illustrates the most is that the importance of getting the colour right. The physicals take care of themselves because the product is exceptional when it comes to that. It's just getting that colour match right. So you get the colour match right and you're basically there.
On the colour matching is something that you don't have to worry about because it's all done here. We do all the colour matching here for it. So it just takes a lot of the worry out, you know. Okay, so I'm just sort of, here we go, we're just feathering that off. Yeah, it's looking pretty good now, so let's try that. So it's just a matter of building up the layers, you know, until it looks the way that you want it to look. I don't know if you can see that, but that looks pretty good from this angle. So, what do you think of that, Pete?
Yeah, no, it's at the end of the day, the whole concept of that was that it was quite a gouge, and you've crystallised the fibres, you've used a bit of filler, and then you've used the colour, which in itself has a fill capacity, the way it's made up, to effectively cover the area, reseal it, recolour it in this case, and basically what is a permanent fix. Based on the amount of product you use there from that 30-gram tube, you effectively could have dozens of repairs out of the one tube for $49.
Exactly. So, alright.
Excellent.